Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I finally found some video games during the month of August. It's crazy. I just got back from vacation, decided to run one quick errand, stopped by one of my local Game Stops, and they had some stuff for me. So I'll show you guys what I found, what I picked up, and some of the deals that I got, because even though the buy two get one has passed, they're currently doing the 4 under 20 for 40 promotion. So I was able to take advantage of that. Let me go through these games with you really fast, and then we'll talk about what I think is going to be happening with my collection. So first pickup is this clean copy of Road Rash for the PlayStation. This is the long box, not the jewel case, the cardboard case, but this is complete in box. The manual is perfect. The game itself is perfect. And this is a pretty decent one. If you're into like racing games, if you like motorcycle racing games, and you're into that like first generation motorcycle racing games, you'll like this. I picked this one up because it does remind me of Jet Moto. I think is a game that I used to play on the PC a lot. I used to play Jet Moto like all the time. And so I figured I'd give this one a run. When I added this one into Game Eye, I was actually shocked at how much this goes for, probably because it's the long box version, but I think it's somewhere between 35 and 40. This was a decent pickup. They had this there for like $9.50. So this was a pretty clean pickup in my opinion. I don't know how many times I've seen a long box at GameStop. So this one was a pleasant surprise. And then they also had this other PlayStation 1 long box game, Destruction Derby for the PlayStation 1. Another solid title, nothing to sneeze at. Based on just some of these games that they had there, I'm sure that they had a lot more. I'm sure they had some even better titles for the PlayStation 1, because this person traded in a bunch of stuff. I think these were the games that were left over, so I was able to kind of take advantage of these. But this is also complete in box, decent condition. And again, this is just those 5th generation racing games were really interesting. Really the first time we saw 3D racing games. I think there's just something very novel about these types of games. So another decent pickup there. Then we also have this game that I never really saw on the DS before, at least not in person. So Dead or Alive Dimensions. Now, I was a Dead or Alive fan for like a hot second. It was during my like Soul Calibur era, where I liked Soul Calibur, Dead or Alive, Virtua Fighter, just during that time for me, even like the Street Fighter EX games. And so Dead or Alive was a game that I actually played in the arcade, I think, more than anywhere else. And so when I saw this one for the 3DS, I thought it was pretty interesting. And I wanted to pick it up just to kind of see, how fun it is. It's a very unique one. It's not one that I've seen a lot at my local game stores. So I picked this one up. Another pretty decent find on the 3DS. I'm not sure if I'll keep it in the collection or not. We'll see. But this was a unique find. And then also picked up Dexter's Laboratory. It's Dexter's Laboratory. It's a Cartoon Network game. It's like a Cartoon Network based adventure game. One that I'll probably look into. Very clean disc. And I think this is something that came with one of my camera lenses. Yeah, this is a camera lens, ding defender. Whenever you order something online, if it comes with one of these ding defenders, that person really knows how to pack, especially if it's a delicate item. So I'm going to keep that. But moving along here, also picked up a copy of, now these games that I'm going to go through here, these are all games that were part of the 4 under 20 for 10. So all these games were $9.50. I thought these were a pretty good deal from GameStop. So the first one is Sonic Lost World on the 3DS. I had this on the Nintendo Wii U and decided to sell my Wii U and all the Wii U games. So I'm completely out of the Wii U ecosystem. And this was a cool one. This was one of the Sonic games that I really didn't want to let go of. It was this one, and I can't remember what the other one was. There's 2 on the Wii U that I had. So when I saw this one, I was like, for $9.50, I'll go ahead and snag it. It is complete. Really solid pickup here. Some more PlayStation 1 goodness. So Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1, complete in box in the jewel case. I don't find a lot of complete PlayStation 1 games in the jewel case that aren't like Final Fantasy games. You find like Final Fantasy games all the time complete at GameStop, or at least at my local GameStop. You never really find anything outside of that. So finding this copy of Spider-Man was really cool. This one's definitely staying in the collection. I don't have this on the PlayStation 1, so this was a cool find. I do have the original Spider-Man on the N64, which is cool, but the problem with the N64 version, even though the graphics are slightly better than the PlayStation version, the N64 version doesn't have, I think, as many of the cutscenes, if I'm not mistaken. I think the PlayStation 1 version has more of the cutscenes. And so, I mean, those are important, especially if you're like playing in story mode and you're following the story, you know, having to hear Jonah Jameson and all that stuff is just important. I think the optimal way to play this game is obviously going to be on the Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast version is pretty expensive. So, this is definitely, I would say, a close runner up. There is a PC version of this game as well, but I think the Dreamcast has the best balance between graphics, cutscenes, all that stuff, and controls. So, but was still stoked to find this for $9.50 complete Spider-Man. This was a really good deal, so I was glad about that. Another one that took me back, Ape Escape on the PlayStation 1. So again, $9.50 complete in box. Decent copy of Ape Escape. Not one that you see all the time. I know you sometimes see this online, but you don't always see like Ape Escape in stores complete. So this was really cool to find. Went ahead and added it. I think I actually have Ape Escape already in my collection. By the time I got in yesterday, I didn't have a chance to like go through the game room and go through my games and see if I have this or not, but I think I already have this one in the collection. So we'll see if this one stays. And then last but not least, Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation 2. Now this is a complete copy. This is the greatest hits version, but the manual and the game are very clean. Very good copy of this game. And I do have this game I know that I have this game on the PlayStation 3 as part of like a bundle pack. There's like a Shadow of the Colossus and Eco kind of bundle pack. I also had this game on the PlayStation 4. So this is one of those like PlayStation games that got like multiple releases. And I mean, I know it's a good game. I know it has like its cult following. There's a lot of people, you know, for a lot of people, Shadow of the Colossus is their favorite game. And rightfully so. This is one of the most expansive games that I've ever played on the PlayStation 2. This is one of the few games that genuinely felt like a true open world game. It felt like the world was wide open in this game. Just with how much land you cover, how much you have to traverse, how wide open it is, how gargantuan the bosses are, and then just the stories, you know, the story behind it, you know, these seven demons. I think it's seven demons that take the form of these, you know, monstrous kaiju like creatures, and you know the way you have to get to these bosses to fight them. I can't remember if it's the second boss or the third boss, but there's like this floating platform. There's like this mountaintop that you have to get to. I don't think it's a floating platform, but it's like this mountaintop that you have to get to fight them on. It's just huge, man. A really cool game. And what Sony likes to do with their really popular games is they like to re-release them and re-release them and re-release them. And we saw Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, and I'm pretty sure it's on the PlayStation 4 because I do remember playing it on the PlayStation 4. I'm surprised there isn't a PlayStation 5 version. I'm surprised they haven't just made a sequel to this game. Like, dude, I mean, clearly it's one that I think a lot of people like. And I think just considering all the technology that we have with the PlayStation 5, doing a newer version of this game or a sequel to this game with an even more expansive open world feel and better just, you know, NPCs. And I think you could really, this could be a really immersive, there could be a really immersive sequel created for this game. So nonetheless, this is one that I've had this in my collection a few times, sold it out when I sold like bundles of my game collection. But again, $9.50 complete in box, couldn't be mad at it. And so all in all, I mean, these were some pretty solid pickups here. So pretty much got all these games for roughly around $100, I would say. Yeah, pretty much roughly $100 for all these games, maybe even less. And that was thanks due in part to just that, 4 under 20 for 40 deal, and getting some of these long box PlayStation games for pretty cheap. So, all in all, a great welcome back to game collecting. It's been a while since I've gotten any new games, so I was really cool. It was really cool to kind of get those and add those to the collection. A couple things that I think are going to be happening with my collection is I'm definitely going to be doing more curating as the year comes to a close. There's definitely going to be games that I continue to weed out, and it'll probably be more of the like seventh gen and even eighth gen games. I've done a lot of kind of weeding out when it came to my PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 collections. And those, I've actually been able to get those down to like one shelf a piece, like one clean shelf. I used to have like an overflow space for my PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 games. Now that's no longer needed. And it's pretty much just one shelf that makes up the PS3 and the PS4 collection. Also, a lot of what I have in my PlayStation 3 collection are like PlayStation 3 exclusives. Some of the better titles are the ones that I kept. And when it comes to the PlayStation 4, a lot of what I have on my PlayStation 4 collection are like limited run type games, and then also PS4 exclusives. Gravity Rush 2, Prototype Biohazard, um, you know, just the Yakuza Kiwami series 1 and 2. Just a number of games that were just exclusive to the PlayStation 4. Deception 4. Just a number of those types of games, and then of course, like I said, some of the limited run stuff I still have in that collection. Oh, Berserk and the Band of the Hawk is another one that I have on the PlayStation 4, and then of course Ghost of Tsushima, probably one of my favorite like AAA PlayStation 4 games. So just definitely kept some of the good stuff from my PlayStation 4 collection intact, and of course the same with the PlayStation 3. But there's definitely going to be more of a weeding out process when it comes to that part of my collection. And then the same thing with the Switch. I've picked up a good amount of Switch games, honestly. I would say probably 20 or so Switch games throughout the course of this year. And some of them I don't think I necessarily need to keep. Some of them I think I just wanted to play through a little bit or a beat and then kind of move on from them. And when I say that, I think of titles like like the Last Faith, Beyond the Ice Palace 2. Games like that aren't games that I necessarily feel like I need to keep in my Switch collection, but they're here for now, and we'll see what happens. Also, there are some big box limited edition Switch games that I'm gonna be weeding out as well. So I'm working on kind of moving some of those things out. And ultimately just the doubles. I'm just getting rid of a lot of the doubles that I have in my collection. I got rid of a lot of doubles before going on vacation, so there's more doubles that I do need to get rid of. Even when it comes to certain consoles, like I have um, two of some of the mini consoles that I don't need to keep, and just different things here and there. So definitely going to be more of a weeding process that happens. Now, I do foresee more opportunity when it comes to retro collecting, and I'll just end off with that, with where I see things going. I do see, like since I've been back and since I've done a little bit of searching and just kind of re-engaging with the community, one of the things that I've heard is that of the remaining GameStop locations that are out there, that GameStop is turning more of their remaining locations into retro stores. So I think where I see that going is I do think that there's a strong possibility that GameStop is just going to go back to having a retro section in every store. I think that I do foresee something like that happening, just because the dedicated retro store thing is kind of dumb. Mainly because I think there are more people that are interested in it than GameStop anticipated. And when you condense things all into one store, you're pretty much sending all of the resellers to one spot. You know what I mean? Whereas if you spread the wealth out across multiple stores, it gives more people an opportunity to kind of engage with those types of games and that form of media. So I've been talking to some of the employees, and they've kind of indicated that more stores are becoming retro stores. So don't be surprised if you go into your local GameStop and you start to see more retro games beyond just the Wii, the PS3, and Xbox 360. You'll probably start to see NES, Super NES, things like that, Sega Genesis, more of that type of stuff, just because GameStop is, I guess they're finally seeing the value in it. From what I've been told, they're finally seeing that there's a lot of interest in it, and so they're going to start putting more energy, effort, and attention into that, which I think is, I mean, okay, that's cool, but I think that they should have just done that from the beginning. I don't think that having the dedicated stores thing was smart. That being said, it does mean that there's going to be more opportunities for games. And also, it'll probably mean more opportunities for people who want to get rid of their collections. Because I've tried to sell retro games at non-retro Game Stops and was told that they don't buy those types of games. So, and that could have just been a very uneducated or uninformed employee. I don't know. But if this opens up the playing field for more people to have access to retro games, then that is awesome. Also, I went on their website just to kind of see what was there, and I was blown away when I saw one of my all-time PlayStation 1 grails available on the website. So I ordered it immediately, and it's hopefully will come before the end of August. If it comes and if it's authentic and if it's not broken, right, or damaged or like completely scratched to hell and doesn't play, if I even if it's just the disc by itself, but it comes in working condition, I will be blown away that this game was available on their website, because this, again, for me, is a grail. It's a game that I borrowed from my brother back when I was 15 years old, and he made sure to get it back for me. He did not let me keep it. Smart, because that game is like a $400 game or $500 game at this point. So I was blown away when I saw that. Didn't really see much of anything else on the website, but I do know that they've been adding some pretty rare stuff. Like the other day I was on the website, I saw they had In the Hunt for the PlayStation 1. They had X-Men Children of the Atom for the Sega Saturn. They've been adding like a number of like kind of rare disc-based titles for like Gen 5 and Gen 6. And then I've also been seeing a lot of like kind of on the more rare side with like Game Boy Color games, Game Boy Advance games, and that's really it. There was a while where I was seeing a lot of really rare NES games. Don't see that as much, but then again, I haven't really been on the website, that much lately. So I've kind of been pulling back with some of the collecting, and just decided to dip my toes in it. I felt like it's been a little bit since I've really kind of picked up anything cool or new. And so just kind of wanted to dip my toes back into, just the collecting scene. So these are the pickups. This is where I see things going as far as my collection. You could definitely bank on more curation coming. I want to create more space in my room, my game room, for some of my other hobbies that I've got going on. Right now, the secondary hobby that's going to be kind of taking up more space is obviously going to be the film, photography, videography stuff. And so I want to create more shelving space for like camera gear and my cameras and my lenses and things like that, because going into the fourth quarter and into 2026, I really kind of want to start balancing out some of my hobbies again. While I love game collecting and video game playing and video game hunting, there's other things that I want to do, especially as my family gets more active, my kids get more active, wanting to capture some of those moments on film and on video. So that is pretty much the scoop right now. I've been working on a lot of the footage that I got from my vacation. I've been going in and editing and cutting and all types of stuff. So for the channel members, there will be a more edited video coming out for you guys this weekend at some point. But today is a beautiful day weather-wise. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better weather day. here on the East Coast. So I am definitely going to get out there with the family and enjoy some of that weather. But I will be back with you all later this weekend to share more clips. But that does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector. Let me know what you picked up recently, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.